Okay, good morning everyone. This is Applied Economics Week 2 and it's quite late that I have recorded this video because of several reports that I need to finish on the time of your classes. Okay, but still you can do this and the activities at a later time naman. I'm going to wait for it na lang naman, di ba? So again, if you have questions, you can just post it in our GC and I'm going to respond to it. Okay? So this is Applied Economics Week 2 and let's start with this one. So in your module, you can see this picture. This is economic theory versus applied economics. So what is the difference between economic theory and applied economics? So you can see there that economic theories, there are ideas I mean, ano yung gusto, ano yung tama, ano yung naiisip na maganda at mabuti. And then there is Eureka, ibig sabihin nito, we might do something, we might invent something, and if we invent something, what could possibly the significant help that it is going to provide to us economically. And of course, if we are going to print money, marami nagsasabi, bakit hindi na lang tayo magprint ng money and then distribute it to the public and then let the public do the spending. Pwede naman, kaya naman yun. Kasi it's just a paper and the paper only costs less. But the thing is, ano yung mga economic impact nito, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, may economic impact kapag lahat ng tao ay merong kakayahang bumili ng mga bagay na gusto nila. 'Di ba? Kasi marami akong pambili, merong nandiyan available na bibilhin. Papaano if it runs out? If it runs out yung supply ng mga gusto nating bilhin, so tataas na naman yung presyo noon kasi meron tayong pambili pero walang supply. Okay? So with regards to applied economics, you can look at the picture na applied economics is basically application of the theories ng economics, di ba? So if you are thinking of an idea in economic theory, with regards to applied economics, you put the idea into action. Same thing, if you wanted to make something with Eureka, you need to put it into action. You just don't think of it. You put it into action, meaning you do it. Okay? And then lastly is yung printing money. If you're thinking of printing money, think of the pros and cons. And then if you have decided that you need to really print money, then that is the time that you print money. That is the main difference between economic theory and applied economics. Okay? So econometrics daw is the application of statistical and ay natatabunan yung text because of my video. Ang pangit kasi pag maliit. Okay? So going back, economic metrics is the application of a statistical and mathematical theories to economics for the purpose of testing hypotheses and forecasting future trends. So when we talk about econometrics, this basically is the mathematical and numerical application with regards to economic models, trends, ano yung mga forecast natin in the future, what will happen in the future based on economic activities na ginagawa natin sa kasalukuyan. Okay? So there are two types of econometrics. These include theoretical, ibig sabihin, hindi pa ito nangyayari. We are just thinking that this could possibly happen and we are making numerical models out of it. And the next is applied econometrics, meaning nangyayari na to at posible pang nangyari na to sa nakaraan at posibleng mangyari sa kahinaharap at nangyayari sa kasalukuyan. So ibig sabihin, we need to try to study on how these things are affecting our economic activities using numerical models. But we're going to go through about that at a later time with this subject. Okay? So why study economics? Bukod sa fact na kailangan ninyong wala kayong magawa kasi kailangan niya sa curriculum at kailangan ninyong pumasa. Okay? So the first one daw is for decision-making skills. With regards to decision-making skills, people who have knowledge with regards to economics can make wise decisions as to their buying behavior, buying choices. Kung bibili ako ng sardinas, that there are several available brand for me at a varying prices, and I know economics, basically, I am going to make a wise choice saan mas mama-maximize yung benefit ng pera ko, yung benefit ng limited na pera ko para sa consumption ko at ng buong pamilya. So, you make wise decisions, di ba? At the same time, with regards to decision making din naman kasi, you just don't rely kung ano yung kasalukuyang economic situations. You also need to see ano yung mangyayari pa sa hinaharap. If at present, nakikita natin yung trend ng pagtaas ng bigas, do I need to make a decision of buying maraming bigas para it's not really hoarding, no? Para i-keep sa future consumption ng pamilya, di ba? But you have to remember na may kaso po ang hoarding. Yung hoarding, yung na bumibili ka ng marami na wala na yung iba, 'di ba? Kagaya ng nangyari on the onset of pandemic. So ang nangyayari, yung mga tao are into panic buying simply because nakikita nila, that is actually an economic situation. Nakikita nila na at a future time is hindi sila lalabas, that is one, that's why they need to stock a lot, and at the same time, baka hindi maging available yung pagbili noon at a future time. So that is why the government is quick into regulating the volume. Inabot natin yan na ang pagbili ng delata, 10 lang or 5 peraso lang. Ang noodles, 3 peraso lang during the onset of the pandemic. Good thing na ngayon is maayos na yung flow ng distribution of goods dito sa bansa despite na may pandemic pa rin naman. Next is, nasaan na ako? Problem solving skills. With regards to problem solving skills, when you study economics, basically you tend to to solve economic problems at hand, di ba? So ibig sabihin, if sa tingin ninyo there is going to be a shortage with regards to a specific product, so and you need a product, you either choose to buy in bulk, hindi hoarding yan ha, to buy in bulk, bawal ang hoarding, or to look for an alternative. Di ba? Bakit? Kasi it's not because hindi siya available is hindi na lang, wala na lang consumption na mangyayari, di ba? So what commonly happens is kung hindi siya available, let us look for an alternative. Okay? So if hindi available si sardinas or si noodles, siguro we can try to look for an alternative product that will provide an almost same benefit. Kasi like for example, if you are consuming the sardinas and these noodles for ulam na no, for ulam, maybe there are other kind of products na mas mura, mas mas marami yung volume ng availability na at meron tayong access na pwede nating ipampalit sa sardinas and noodles, okay? And then of course, when you study economics, it provides you employment opportunities. You can be a teacher, you can be an economic analyst, you can work for the government. There are several opportunities for you if you study economics. Economics actually is a discipline when you go to college that is related to business. Okay, so basic economic problems, actually sabi nila, the root of it all is scarcity. Ibig sabihin, ito yung tension between your limited resources, konti lang yung resources natin, pero ang gusto at kailangan, ang gusto ng mga tao is unlimited. Napakaraming gusto ng mga tao, pero yung limited to produce, I mean yung ability to produce, ability to create is very limited kasi yung available resources natin is medyo, not really medyo, is limited lang, di ba? Okay, so that is basically the main problem with regards to economics, okay? So there are economics questions that you need to consider. The first one would be what to produce. So when we talk about the kind of things to produce, una, isipin muna natin, if we come up with a business idea, para ano 'to, bakit tayo magpo-produce, okay? So, bakit natin kailangan gumawa ng isang produkto? Bakit natin kailangan magbenta ng isang produkto, okay? And at the same time, if you know, what to produce, you also need to know how to produce it, 'di ba? When we say how to produce it, do you have the technology to produce it? 'Di ba? Do you have the skills? Do you have the knowledge? Do you have the manpower? Do you have enough capital to produce the goods na gusto mo or to introduce the services na gusto mo? Otherwise kasi it could just be an idea, 'di ba? Na hindi naman natin kayang panindigan in making it a reality. And then lastly is this is actually the most important. For whom are you going to produce that? When we say, to whom are you going to produce that? May tao ba na bibili ng produkto mo? May tao ba na mangangailangan ng produkto mo? May tao ba na gusto ng produkto mo? Question is, sir, tingin ko maganda yung produkto ko. Pero, sa ngayon, hindi pa nare-realize ng mga tao na kailangan nila yung produkto ko. What am I going to do? Dito papasok yung ating marketing strategies, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, you need to make an intensive marketing strategies in introducing your product and making your people, the people realize that they need your product. Ganun lang yung kasimple. Like, before, kagaya ng example natin sa classroom before, people do not realize that cell phone is a very important product in their daily lives. Diba? Bakit? Kasi, especially in the United States, halos lahat ng bahay has an access to a telephone. But the thing is, when it was introduced, ang sinabi diyan ng mga producer sa marketing strategies nila, if you are going to own a cell phone, you do have your telephone on your hand, di ba? There is no need to pay for a long distance fee. There is no need to pay to access a wired telephone. You carry your telephone on your hand. And gradually, para hindi siya ma-phased out at pagsawaan ng mga tao, several applications, several features, several functions have been added. Kasi people then realizes that owning a cell phone and having a computer on their hand will actually benefit them and eases yung kanilang buhay, pinapadali yung kanilang buhay. Okay? So, with regards to the basic economic problems naman ng Pilipinas, ito yung mga basic economic problems natin. Number one, you have there your unemployment. Okay? So, kakulangan ng trabaho. Actually, sa sitwasyon natin ngayon, noong second quarter ng 2020, ang ating unemployment has rocketed to 17.7%. Ang ating population is around 100 million, I think. Around that, yung ating population sa Pilipinas. So, ibig sabihin, we have a significant number, 17 million people who have lost their jobs, who are unemployed. Diba? So, napakalaki ng impact ng pandemic na yan. Bakit? Kasi may mga businesses that had been shut down. May mga businesses were forced to close because of the restriction ng mobility ng mga tao, and then at the same time less priority na mag-open yung mga business na yun, especially recreation, yung mga resorts, etc., hotels. Kasi iniiwasan yung pagko-convene ng mga tao sa isang lugar. So that is why may mga tao ka, the only thing that you can do is to let go of your people kasi it's not generating an income, di ba? So kahit nga dito sa lugar namin, I don't know if it's also true sa mga lugar ninyo, kahit nga dito sa lugar namin sa may iba, I was informed by my brothers there na marami talaga yung nawalan ng trabaho, and that's a very saddening situation na meron tayo sa panahon ngayon, di ba? Okay, so how are we going to respond daw with regards to unemployment? Oh, before this year, before the onset of the pandemic kasi, the unemployment rate of the Philippines is within 2.3% lang. Mababa na rin yung unemployment rate. Although, ibang usapan pa kasi yung income, di ba? Pero at least may mga tao, a significant volume of people has their jobs, di ba? May pinagkukunan kahit paano. Unlike ngayon na they lost their jobs, mahirap na yung naging sitwasyon nila. And then, on the quarter 3 of the Philippine economy, bumaba yan ng 10%. So there are only about 10 million people who have no sources of income. Malaking parte pa rin, but having 7 million people goes back to work is actually very important na rin naman sa economic natin situation. Okay? So how are you going to respond to unemployment? Appropriate economic policies for labor-intensive industries. Dapat daw meron tayong polisiya para doon sa mga industries who should be attracting or employing people. Like for example, kung hindi man yan sa blue collar, at least, I mean sa white collar, at least sa mga blue collars, maraming available na trabaho for construction workers, factory workers, etc. Di ba? Then improvement in the educational system of the country, especially in the rural areas. That basically is one of the most important, di ba? Kasi when you have a significant number of educated people, you tend to attract them, you tend to get them employment na hindi lamang basta you call that minimum yung sinisweldo nila. At least educated people gets more than that, di ba? And then minimize the rural and urban migration by improving economic environment in the rural areas. Ito yung pinag-usapan natin sa classroom. Ang wealth distribution kasi dito sa Pilipinas is hindi equal, 'di ba? Nandito lagi sa Makati, sa Quezon City, sa Pasig, BGC yung concentration ng pagtatayo ng mga negosyo, ng mga offices. Although with the birth of BPO, lumayo na yan, nagpunta na yan sa mga probinsya. Pero hindi pa rin ganoon ka well distributed kasi ang nangyayari, kung nasaan yung trabaho, doon nag-uumpukan yung mga tao. Doon nagpupuntahan yung mga tao na okay, may trabaho to some, pero ang nangyayari is yung quality naman ng kanilang pamumuhay bumababa kasi para lang ako may trabaho, kahit sa squatter ako nakatira, that is also fine. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with being a squatter, but what I'm trying to say is if the national wealth is properly distributed, hindi na nila kailangan pababain yung standard ng buhay nila kasi kung nasaan lugar sila, mayroong trabaho silang makikita, 'di ba? Na maayos naman ang buhay nila sa kung saang probinsya sila naroon, 'di ba? And then lastly is the provision of more investment opportunities to encourage local and international investment like tax incentives. Ito yung trabaho to ng government to actually strengthen yung kanilang economic ties sa ibang bansa, kaya nga mayroong mga economic trade organizations so that yung pag-i-invest ng mga investors hindi lang sa kanilang bansa but they can extend it to other countries like the Philippines para Pag nag-invest sila dito, kikita na nga sila, makakapag-create pa sila ng trabaho. At etong tax incentives na to, kagaya nung nabanggit ko sa inyo before sa classroom, yung PEZA zone dito sa Olongapo and Laguna, Cavite, Renata, and Batangas. They are asking investors to establish their businesses here with the condition na sa loob ng 10 taon, meron silang tax holiday. So ibig sabihin, hindi sila magbabayad ng income tax, yung business. Hindi sila magbabayad ng income tax and they can actually use it in maximizing their business operations, di ba? Nadadagdag yun sa capital nila. That is one way of attracting investors to come in our country to invest and of course, create more jobs in the country. Okay? So, meron pa. Proper coordination daw between the government and the private sectors because of job mismatch. Yun ang isa sa problem natin, di ba? May problema tayo sa job mismatch, di ba? So, pag sinabi nating job mismatch, for example, si Sir Poblete ay graduate ng business administration, management. Pero tapos ang masters ko pa ay business administration. Then I am supposedly working doon sa mga offices who are into commerce, 'di ba? 'Yun ang dapat na trabaho, but I am teaching. You call it job mismatch, 'di ba? Bakit? Kasi wala ako doon sa industry kung saan ako dapat kabilang. 'Di ba? Same thing with ating mga call centers. Marami diyan yung mga nasa call centers natin, yung ating mga contact agents. Marami diyan ang graduate ng ganito at ganoong discipline but they are into contact centers. Bakit? Kasi una, hindi sila makahanap ng trabaho doon sa industry na dapat kabilang sila. Pangalawa, kagaya sa akin, I'm not happy with working sa opisina 8 to 5, paulit-ulit na ginagawa. That is why I have, ang tawag sa amin ay mga career shifter. So I have shifted career from that supposedly to be in a corporate na napunta naman ako sa education sector. That is a job mismatch. Bakit? Kasi in some cases, ang nangyayari is marami ang mga sector naman ang walang nag-a-apply sa kanila or kulang nang nagtatrabaho sa kanila because hindi ganoon ka-attractive yung kanilang compensation package and yung kanilang working environment. Diba? Yun yung dahilan. So, the government has to solve these gaps kasi para na ilalagay mo yung tamang tao sa tamang trabaho. Okay? And then decreasing the retirement from age 65 to 60 for public sector. Kasi ang nangyayari diyan, marami pang nagtatrabaho ng 60 to 65 years old nila. 'Di ba? Which means nalilimitahan naman natin yung pagpasok ng opportunity para sa mga fresh graduates na dapat umuukupa na ng posisyon nila, 'di ba? So ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon ng gap na nagkakaroon tayo ng unemployment hindi dahil wala silang kakayahang magtrabaho, kundi dahil wala silang lugar para magtrabaho kasi inuukupa pa yan ng mga tao who are supposedly dapat nagpapahinga na, 'di ba? And then next is of course slowing population growth. When we talk about slowing population growth, dahil sa dami ng tao, kakaunti ang konti lang na-offer na trabaho. So, ang nangyayari, nagiging unemployed yung iba. So, how are we going to respond that? Pababain natin yung dami ng tao. Diba? Sa Pilipinas, wala tayong ganyang government program. But in China, they already have their program for this one-child policy na lang kasi nakikita nila that one of the source of their major problem is basically yung massive growth ng kanilang population. Okay? Again, for questions, doon lang sa GC natin. So, how are we going to solve poverty in the Philippines? So, dapat daw pababain natin yung unemployment rate natin. Okay? How are we going to do that? Mag-create ng mga trabaho itong build program ni Duterte is okay for the construction industry, pero kailangan pa rin ng government niya to actually attract several international businesses to establish business here to create more jobs. And then appropriate policy on labor income. Marami kasi ang nagsasabi, malaking ano naman to usapin yung labor income natin na hindi daw tama, hindi pantay. At yes, hindi pantay yung ating assignment for remuneration and salaries of people. So like for example, sabi nila mababa daw ang sweldo ng teachers, mababa yung sa mga nurses medyo tumaas na kasi nasa 30 something na ang kanilang entry rate, but sa mga soldiers na nasa mababang posisyon mababa pa rin. Although marami silang benefits, sa mga construction workers mababa pa rin yung daily rate nila. So ang nangyayari kasi is that dahil hindi na pagtutuunan ng pansin yung tamang pagpapasweldo, people becomes dissatisfied sa kanilang trabaho at umiikot sila sa kung saan sa tingin nila ay magkakaroon sila ng income na mas satisfying doon sa needs nila. And then, promote economic growth to improve the standard of living. So, when there is a growth of economy, sumasabay yan Yung mga tao na tumataas ang income, tumataas rin yung kanilang standard of living, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, kung tayo ay kumakain sa 10 kilong bigas dati, ay tig sa 10 pisong kilo ng bigas dati. So, tumaas ang income natin. Pwede na yung 15 pesos naman bilhin natin. Pwede na yung 20 pesos per kilo naman ang bilhin natin. Di ba? Bakit? Kasi standard of living has improved simply because the economy has been growing. At kasabay tayong nagkakaroon ng growth. Di ba? And then provision of unemployment benefits for those who will be unemployed due to natural and man-made calamities. Ito na. Sa ibang bansa, meron talagang ganitong program. Like for example, hindi ka natanggal ka sa trabaho or nawalan ka ng trabaho, you will be assisted by the government until the time na you will be able to find new source of income, di ba? Pero dito sa Pilipinas, we are just still trying to provide that, like yung SSS recently pwede nang kapag natanggal ka sa trabaho, yung average contribution mo, pwede mong i-loan for an equivalent of 1 month salary. That is an assistance, di ba? Pero sana pinapalakas pa yung ganitong programa ng government kasi ang nangyayari, pag ikaw nawala ng trabaho, bagsak lahat ng iyong bagsak lahat ng iyong kabuhayan, yung source of income, yung pinoprovide mo sa family, which should not be the case, di ba? And then, okay, Philippine Basic Economic Problems on infrastructure, quality of infrastructure. So, what can be done? Pag sinabi natin quality of infrastructure, yung mga ating railways, yung mga buildings, yung pagtatatag ng ganitong airports, recreation parks, road access, ito yung pinag-uusapan nating quality of infrastructure. I don't know if it's the the frame is moving pero minumove ko siya ha. So, what are you going no. Question muna, bakit kailangan natin ng infrastructure? Una, when there is very good access to roads, yung mga tao, I mean yung mga investors, kahit mahal yan, malayo yan, magtatayo sila ng business doon. Di ba? At pag nagtayo sila ng business doon, they are going to create jobs, they are going to pay taxes. And then, at the same time, kapag meron tayong marami tayong airports, marami tayong mga recreational parks, marami tayong access sa government services, basically mas madali para sa kanila to establish a business. That is why yung Build program ni Duterte is actually one of the crucial economic response para sa economic growth natin, di ba? So, anong pwedeng gawin? So number one, the quality of infrastructure increases macro-level competitiveness and encourage investment. Ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina. In order to ease infrastructure constraints, the Philippines needs to achieve a gradual increase in infrastructure investments to at least 5% of gross domestic product and an increase in the efficiency of spending. So when you are able to attract people to invest here, tataas yung ating revenue coming from their taxes, coming sa movement ng mga tao. Bakit may kita sa movement ng mga tao? Bakit? Kasi when people moves, they spend, 'di ba? Bibili ka ng pagkain, bibili ka ng ganun at ganito when you move. So the government shall implement fiscal reform program. When we talk about fiscal reform program, this is the methods of managing your finances para maging ma-adapt doon sa kailangan ng ating mamamayan. And then continuous reform in key sectors, particularly roads, water, to improve cost recovery, competition, institutional credibility, and sharply reduce corruption. And that's what we had been talking earlier, improving central oversight of the planning and coordination of investment. Bakit? Kasi minsan kaya ayaw mag-invest ng mga foreign investors sa isang bansa is because masyadong mahigpit yung kanilang batas sa pagpasok ng mga foreign investors, di ba? So dapat daw medyo luwagan. Okay? And then it focus on investment through public-private partnership to address key bottlenecks and achieve quick gains and service delivery. So dapat daw there should be a partnership between the public programs, public establishments with private institutions for them to be able to provide better services and at the same time create. Yun lang naman laging keyword, create more jobs to people who will be working in that industry. Okay? So income inequality. So ito yung tax table for 2020, dapat 2020 from year 2023 onwards. Actually, this is also what we have been applying right now, right after the ratification of Duterte's tax reform under the train law, di ba? Train law. Okay, so pag ikaw daw ay sumisweldo ng 250,000 sa buong taon ha, ikaw ay exempted sa tax. Okay, wala kang tax na babayaran, makukuha mo ng buo ang iyong sweldo. Kapag ikaw daw ay sumisweldo ng 250,000 to 400,000, ang iyong babayarang tax is 15% sa excess ng 250,000. So, ibig sabihin, kung sa buong taon, ang total amount ng swineldo mo is 252,000, yung 2,000 lang ang taxable. 15% ng 2,000. I hope nakukuha yun, ha? You're going to have this an intensive discussion on this. Isang buong subject yan pagdating niya ng college. So sa mga sumisweldo naman ng 400,000 hanggang 800,000, magbabayad siya ng 22,500. Fixed yon. Yung 22,500, sir, paano yon? Sa December, magbabayad ba silang 22,500? No. It can be distributed doon sa buong taon. Pwedeng i-divide yan into 12. Pero hindi lang yan basta 22,500 plus 20% nung excess ng 400,000. So again, if you are earning 450,000, yung 50,000 na yon is taxable ng 20%. Okay? Plus 22,500, you get it, and then divide it into 12. Okay? And then, sa mga nasang category ka, sir? Dito ako sa 400 to 800. So, above 800,000 to 200,000, ang babayaran mong, to 2 million, sorry. babayaran mong tax is 102,500, that is fixed, plus yung excess ng 800,000. So if it is 900,000, 25% ng 100,000 ang iyong taxable. Okay, 25% lang. So that is yun na yung i-divide into a year. So above 2 million up to 8 million, so 402,500 fixed, plus in excess of 2 million, that is 30%. So that is how you compute your taxable income. Sana nasa classroom tayo para we can actually have a drill on how tax are computed. Okay? So that is income equality continued. So solving, how are you going to solve income inequality? So the first one, direct money transfers and subsidized food programs for the urban and rural poor. Although that can be one, although hindi ako medyo advocate nito kasi parang that is a dole out. Ibig sabihin, binibigay mo ng diretso sa mga tao yung ayuda na yan. For example, sa panahon ng pandemya, that is okay, yung ayuda, di ba? Pero on a normal days, I don't actually, I'm not, at least personally, I'm not an advocate of yung basta na lang binibigay sa mga tao, di ba? At least subsidize is okay. Yung food programs, like for example, they need to render work for them to get a bag of grocery, that is okay. Sa urban and rural poor, or bigyan mo sila ng pera, pero the intention should be for the purpose of establishing a business. But basically, part of the program is to actually provide directly to the poor yung cash assistance na dapat ay para sa kanila. Kasi meron namang reserve talaga ang government, di ba? And then direct government policies to keep the price of essential products low. Bakit? For the poor to access yung mga products. Hindi pwedeng we are always at the mercy ng mga producers na ididikta lagi nila kung kung magkano ang gusto nilang presyo ng kada produkto. Bakit? Kasi kung ano yung gusto nila might not be affordable para sa mga mahihirap. And then reform employs political culture. So ibig sabihin when we talk about political culture, the politics greatly affects the economy, 'di ba? So ibig sabihin, we need to we need to ensure that we are placing the right people into governing the country so that they will be able to provide the right concern for their constituents, 'di ba? Hindi yung self-serving. Kasi if it's self-serving, kung ako ay negosyante, gagawa ako or yes, I own several businesses and then I am a politician, gagawa ako ng napakaraming laws na pabor sa akin, hindi pabor sa inyo, di ba? So next is encourage and expand collective bargaining. Yung collective bargaining is yung ability ng mga employees to negotiate for a salary and benefits doon sa kanilang mga pinagtatrabahuan. That is actually very important kasi not because paswelduhin tayo is wala na tayong say. We are the movers of every institution. So ibig sabihin, we should have a say on how we should be treated sa ating mga pinagtatrabahuan. And then last is encourage profit sharing. Sa San Miguel meron ito Sa San Miguel, yung profit sharing. Kapag tumubo si San Miguel ng more than doon sa target niya, ang nangyayari diyan is hinahati-hati yung tubo doon sa mga empleyado. So yung sobra lang sa mga empleyado as part of their bonuses. Bigla ang bonuses. Hindi siya assured, pero hindi siya assured bonus, pero pag nandiyan naman, it makes your employee more motivated, di ba? And then, again, for questions, pwede ninyong, itanong yan doon sa ating GC. So, let's have a quick rundown with regards to your activity. Okay? So tapos na kayo sa activity 1 ninyo and yung assessment. Yun lang naman ang hinihingi ko kung nung nakaraan. Bakit parang ang daming nagbinigay nung iba. Diba? And then for the last activity of this subject, ano to? Hiwa-hiwalay na kasi yung aking mga hiniwa-hiwalay ng aking anak. For the last assessment, you just need to do that. Okay? A rundown of your activity. Hindi na sunod-sunod tuloy. Okay, activity 1, tapos na tayo dyan. Most of your activities are, diba? Are, most of your activities are applied. Ibig sabihin kung ano yung experience ninyo, kung ano yung karanasan ninyo. So, activity no 2.1 ninyo, tandaan na lang hindi to sunod-sunod. Identify some of the problems in our country. Do the identified problems have something to do with the economics? But at least try to identify yung mga economic problems. Ngayong pandemic, ang daming lumabas na mga economic problems natin, di ba? And then, next is, does the impact of COVID-19 pandemic crisis discuss the impact of COVID-19 pandemic crisis in our economy? Yes, mayroong economic impact in COVID-19, which I have already told you earlier. If you are the economic planner, how can you resolve the unemployment? You can list down as many options that you have. And then, activity 3, compare economic conditions in our traditional and the new normal. Meaning, ano yung condition dati sa condition ngayon economically? Like for example, dati, whenever you need to access a good, punta ka lang ng grocery or punta ka lang ng palengke. But ngayon kasi, yung mismong presence ninyo sa palengke is also regulated by the government. So that is an example. So traditional, easy access with products, new normal, regulated yung mobility ninyo to especially in accessing goods. Okay, that is an example. Name the 3 central problems of an economy. Nasabi ko yan kanina. We have scarcity, and what are the things that you think pa ba? Okay? So assessment. So 4.1, sa 4, to better understand the term and used in the module, complete the sentence on the words provided below. Write your answer on your activities sheet. And then 4.1, assuming that you are the leader of the country, what would you do to solve 4 economic problems of the country? Okay, you suggest a solution. Doon pala sa mga bago, you can actually answer in Tagalog. Wala namang problema doon. Okay? So, what can you say about the program of our government in addressing the economic crisis in our country? Yung pag-iis ng ng paglabas ng mga tao. Usually, that is not usually. It is actually an economic move. Bakit? Kasi kapag kinuntain mo ang mga tao sa bahay lang nila at sobrang limitado yung kanilang movement, yung flow ng goods pati ng pera is masyadong limited. Same thing sa revenue ng government. So ang nangyayari diyan is the economy is actually suffering. 'Di ba? Activity 6, interview your parents or whoever is in charge of your family budget using the following guidelines. Ilan kayo sa pamilya? Sino ang breadwinners? Some families can have more than one breadwinner naman, di ba? Basta yung nagtatrabaho at tumutulong sa gastusin ng pamilya, that is already a breadwinner. How much more or less is your family's monthly income? Less ba? Kulang ba? Gaano pa kalaki ang kakulangan? Okay? Huwag kayong mag-alala. Ako lang naman ang babasa niyan. Okay? How does your family allocate your income? Paano kayo nagbabudget? What are your primary and secondary? Ano yung priority? Ang alak is not a priority. Sigarilyo is not a priority, di ba? Ang paglo-load should not be a priority. Okay? So, dapat alam niyo kung ano yung priority ng pamilya ninyo. So, what does your family? Kapag nagkukulang ng budget daw, anong ginagawa ninyo? And what values and skills do your parents teach you in helping you become a wise economic decision maker? Tinuturuan ba kayo magtipid? Mm-hmm. And then 6.1, news clipping. When may nagtanong sa GC natin, hindi naman kailangan news clipping. It can be an economic article na pwede ninyong makita doon sa internet. Okay? 6.2, as a student and as an individual, in what way can you help solve economic problems in scarcity? Okay, so how? How are you going to help in your limited capacity, di ba? You in solving our economic problems. Okay? So, still, wala na. Okay? So, that is how you answer your task. Okay? You can answer it in Tagalog, write it in a bond paper. There is no need for you to pass yung mga folder, envelopes, kahit sa plastic labo, okay na yon. Kasi paghihiwa-hiwalayin pa naman namin yung teachers and it's going to be more convenient for us kung naka-plastic labo lang yun. Just make sure na may pangalan ninyo at subject na nakalagay doon sa inyong papel. Okay? So again, for questions, you can just post it in our GC and I'm going to respond to it. Okay? So again, this is Sir Joey Poblete for Applied Economics. Thank you. And I'm going to send to you a supplemental lecture again for next week. Sana hindi na late na. Okay? Thank you, everyone. And I hope everyone's doing well. Walang nagkakasakit. Bawal mawalan ng panlasa. Ano pa ba? Nga pala. Just a reminder, guys. Do not send your parents to or guardians to the pick up area kung sa tingin ninyo they are not feeling well, kung sa tingin ninyo may sakit, may ubo, may sipon, especially if you're suspecting it for COVID. Kasi do not risk them of exposure, at the same time, do not risk other people of exposure din naman, di ba? Mag-ingat lang tayo. The teachers will actually understand if hindi kayo makapagpapasa because of these conditions. Okay? There's no problem with that. You can pass it at a later time naman. Okay? So, no question. Thank you, everyone.